Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Our plan today on Another View was to talk about the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in light of the dedication of the historic memorial to the civil rights leader in Washington, D.C. But Hurricane Irene had other plans, so we've adjusted. This hour will bring you the latest weather updates from the Weather Channel and NewsChannel 3, mandatory evacuations, tips if you plan to weather the storm in place, and how to deal with the anxiety of all of this with psychologist Dr. Adolph Brown. It's all about Hurricane Irene on Another View, right after this news from NPR.
Discussing the issues and celebrating the successes of the African American community. This is Another View.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee, and I don't know if we're cheering for Irene or cheering for the fact that you've been putting your plans in place and you are ready to either evacuate if you have a mandatory evacuation, or you are going to settle down in your home, but that you've taken the necessary precautions to keep yourself and your family safe. Glad you could join us this afternoon. We really want to hear from you today all about Hurricane Irene and how you're dealing with this major, major storm that is headed in our direction. As a matter of fact, we're going to hear from Jennifer Natuzzo in just a moment, from meteorologist with the Weather Channel, who will tell us that some of the bands have already started hitting the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's a major storm. I hope everyone is paying attention, doing what you need to do in order to get ready, and then being calm about it. We're going to talk with Dr. Adolph Brown a little bit later in the show to talk about how we deal with the anxiety of all of this. I know a lot of people are feeling a little bit anxious, but at the same time, if you're prepared, you can do the best you can, and then after that, we just have to ride the storm out. Let's talk to meteorologist Jennifer Natuzzo. She's with the Weather Channel. And Jennifer, can you bring us up to speed on the latest information that we have?
Right now, Hurricane Irene is a powerful Category 2 storm with winds of 105 miles per hour. That's actually down 5 miles from the previous update at 8 o'clock this morning, but still on the higher end of a Category 2 storm. It's located about 315 miles southwest of Cape Hatteras and is moving to the north at 14 miles per hour. If you take a look at the radar right now, you can see that some of the outer bands are beginning to lash South Carolina, including near the Charleston area, up to about Wilmington, North Carolina. I've already received some reports of tropical storm force winds along the coast of South Carolina, in one case knocking out power to a beach community there of about 2,600 people. So the power outages are already beginning, and we are just at the very beginning of this system. From the information we have now, it looks like the center of Irene will make landfall as a borderline Cat 2 or Cat 3 hurricane tomorrow morning in eastern North Carolina, most likely between Morehead City and Hatteras. But tropical storm conditions are possible as far inland as I-95 in North Carolina, with hurricane conditions possible as far as 40 miles from the coast. For us, I think we'll start to see conditions deteriorate here late tonight. Worse conditions are expected tomorrow morning through late tomorrow night. We are under a hurricane warning. That means hurricane conditions are imminent. They are expected within 36 hours, but realistically, it's more like 24 hours at this point.
So the time frame has moved up at this point, isn't that correct?
The time frame has moved up a little bit since probably I spoke with you guys yesterday. It has inched up a little bit over the last couple of model runs, but for the most part, the philosophy of the track of the storm and the timing has remained pretty consistent. It is looking very unlikely at this point that it's going to make a major turn to the northeast or the northwest. What it does beyond landfall around the Outer Banks is where things get a little murky. Is it going to just hug the coastline and travel north? Is the center of the storm maybe going to jog a little bit to the east and then make a second landfall in New Jersey, New York, Long Island? That still remains to be seen, but I tell you what, either way, the impacts are going to be significant.
And so the bottom line here in Hampton Roads and in the Outer Banks and even on the Eastern Shore is that this storm is coming and we need to be prepared, correct?
We need to be prepared. You want to have, if you're staying, you want to have at least 3 days of fresh water and enough batteries to keep your flashlights and your radio going for at least 3 days. I think we're going to see widespread, long-lasting power outages with this storm, potentially interruptions to water. We're going to have a lot of trees down, so it's going to take time for people to be able to get out from where they live and for emergency crews to get through to start fixing things. If you are under an evacuation order, I urge you to take it very, very seriously.
Okay, Jennifer Nituzzo with the Weather Channel. Jennifer, thank you so much, and please keep yourself safe also.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care now. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to reach us today. We're just going to chat about the storm and about preparation. And I'll tell you that Dr. Adolph Brown just joined us today. Hi, Doctor. How you doing?
Outstanding. How about yourself?
Good. Okay. And we'll be talking with him about how we deal with some of the anxieties that we may be facing as we're talking about going through this storm. But we also have some other information for you right now. I want to bring you up to speed very quickly on the evacuation plans and what's going on in terms of shelters and so forth. So this is going to take a little while. So if you have a pen and paper, grab it. And I will go through each city kind of in alphabetical order. I'm going to start with North Carolina. NAG's head officials have declared a state of emergency, but no restricted access has been announced. They did post red flags on the NAG's head beaches today. There is life-threatening waves and dangerous rip currents, so you want to stay away from the beaches at this point. Dare County officials have told residents to leave by this morning. Currituck County has also issued a mandatory evacuation order for residents and visitors beginning at 8 a.m. today, so that is in full swing in Currituck County. It's time to go. President Barack Obama has declared a state of emergency in North Carolina, in Virginia, Maryland, on up the coast. So we are under a state of emergency at this point. Shelters in Dare County opened at 10 o'clock this morning. And shelters are also open in Nash and Wilson counties for evacuees from Hyde County. So that's what's going on in North Carolina. In the city of Chesapeake, there are several shelters that will be opening. The shelters now will not open until 7 p.m. this evening. Okay, they will open today on Friday, but not until 7 p.m. So they will not be open to you before 7 p.m. But you can go to Oscar Smith High School, Hickory Middle, Western Branch High School, or Thurgood Marshall Elementary School. And there also is a pet shelter in Chesapeake. It is the Rivercrest Community Center, which is located at 1001 River Walk Parkway. And that's for the pet owners to be housed at Oscar Smith High School. And you also must bring all necessary food and bedding for your pet. So make sure that you keep that in mind. In the city of Hampton, let's see what's going on in Hampton. There is a mandatory evacuation of all low-lying areas in anticipation of flooding and storm damage from the hurricane. And the city has recommended evacuation for such areas as Grandview Beach, Harris Creek, Newmarket, Hampton River, Tide Mill Creek, Indian Creek, Newmarket Creek, and the southwest branch of the Back River. That's in Hampton. There is no specific deadline for evacuation, but they won't be able to send rescue teams in during the storm to assist you if you decide not to evacuate those low-lying areas. So make sure that you make your plans and move and leave if you possibly can. City of Norfolk, we are under an emergency declaration also. There is a mandatory evacuation of all residents in low-lying areas. The low-lying areas are defined as residents living in the Category 1 storm surge, and they also strongly urge you, if you live in a Category 2 storm surge, to leave as well. If you go to the Norfolk City website, norfolk.gov, and click on the Hurricane Preparedness box on the left-hand side, it gives you some maps, and you can see where your neighborhood is located if you're in a Category 1 or Category 2 storm area. Make sure that you find out there is a mandatory mandatory evacuation for those areas. City shelters will open tonight in the city of Norfolk at 6 p.m. Granby High School, Norview High School, Lake Taylor Middle, Maury High, Campostella Elementary School. And East Ocean View Senior Center is no longer a viable shelter. So don't go there. Granby, Norview, Lake Taylor, Maury, or Campostella Elementary Schools are the shelters for you there. City of Portsmouth, shelters should open at 7 this afternoon or this evening. Churchland Academy Elementary School, Churchland Primary and Intermediate School, Churchland Middle, and Lakeview Elementary School. You can call 393-5161 if you need additional information from there. Let's see here. Newport News. There is a mandatory evacuation for residents living in areas that would flood in a Category 1 hurricane. That includes the City Line Apartments and the Salters Creek area. So if you live in those areas, they really want you to evacuate and go now. Additionally, residents who live in other areas prone to flooding are encouraged to evacuate. It's recommended that residents evacuate by 5 p.m. today if possible. And Newport News city offices are also closing at noon, so they just closed about 16 minutes ago. Warwick High School is opening as a shelter today. They opened at noon also. And there's limited capability for pets at Warwick High School. Don't forget to bring your kennel if you're going to take your pet there. Suffolk has shelters that will open at 8 p.m. this evening. Nansemond River High School, Lakeland High School, Kings Fork High School in Suffolk. 514-4536 is the number to call if you have additional information. And in the city of Virginia Beach, the latest information is that a mandatory evacuation of Sandbridge began today at noon. They really want you to stay away from Sandbridge or any of the coastal areas, really, until the storm has passed. City shelters in Virginia Beach at 6 p.m. opening tonight, Lansdowne High School and Salem High School, and also Cox High School and Birdneck Elementary School. Now let's talk about what's happening on the roads. We have Nora Shivers. She's the VDOT Public Information Officer. And Nora, I know you've been busy because I started listening to you at 6 a.m. this morning.
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What's going on our roads right now? I know Dr. Brown was late because he got stuck in traffic, so I'm wondering how things are out there.
Well, we are experiencing some, heavier than normal traffic on the roadway for this time of day. Mm-hmm. We do have the evacuations are adding traffic onto the roadways. We really recommend that motorists who are planning on evacuating, that they take a look at the evacuation route and that they use the evacuation route that's closest to their home. I know we all think of I-64 West, and that may be the best way, but if you live in Chesapeake, I-264 through Suffolk may be a better way for you to go. So, really look at the evacuation route and take the way that's going to be easiest for you.
Mm-hmm. What about tunnels and so forth? Should we be concerned, especially once it starts raining, that the tunnels may close?
Well, the tunnel closures and bridge closures, the rain isn't necessarily going to be a factor. Mm-hmm. What we look at are tropical storm winds. When winds get to 45 mile per hour and they are forecasted to intensify, that's when we start looking at our facilities. When they become unsafe for the motoring public, that is when the facilities will close.
Okay. So people just need to stay tuned to their local media to find out if those opportunities, but you really encourage people also to stay off the roads.
Absolutely. During this storm, it's no place for motorists to be. It's no place for them to be on the roadways. They should be home and safe or have already sheltered.
Mm-hmm. Nora, is there any chance that the arms would come down, that one-way traffic on 64 would go into effect?
No, we're not going to do a road reversal right now. The governor passed a declaration that enabled the cities to do their mandatory evacuations based on their specific city needs.
Mm-hmm. So we will not be doing it here in the Hampton Roads area.
We will not be doing a lane reversal here in the Hampton Roads area. That's correct.
Okay. All right, Nora, we know you're busy. We're going to let you go. We appreciate you being with us today. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I know there are a lot of you out there who are making preparations and you're doing things like getting plywood and picking up those generators and so forth. Our Lisa Godley spent part of her morning at the Home Depot on Military Highway, where generators, plywood, and bottled water are flying off the shelves.
Dominic and Raven Walker didn't board up their Norfolk home during Isabel, but they're not taking any chances with Hurricane Irene.
Just had that gut feeling to do something extra. We're going to stay. Yeah, we got all our waters and food. Now it's just need to board up.
Philip Hudson feels the same way about his Ocean View barbershop.
I have a bunch of plywood, and I'm just preparing myself for the storm to protect my business.
All right, so how much wood did you have to get today?
About $150 worth, altogether about 10 pieces of plywood.
Joe Ellis of Waverly, Virginia, drove 2 hours to join the scores of people scooping up generators and chainsaws.
Wait, so were you surprised to see the number of people in here that are buying generators?
I was. They had 5 pallets in, I think they said this morning, and they're down to 1. That was in 2 hours. So.
Are you preparing for a home or business or what?
Well, a little of both. The generator's going to benefit me, business and home.
For most, it's a time to be better safe than sorry. For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
Okay, and President Obama just had a news conference about a half an hour ago from Martha's Vineyard, and he says, don't wait, don't delay. As all indications point to Irene being a historic hurricane, and he cannot stress enough the need to prepare. And he's also urging residents to evacuate if you're told to do so. That is just so very, very important. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Call us and let us know what you're doing, what you're about right now in terms of dealing with Hurricane Irene. Are you packing up? Are you going to evacuate? Are you sheltering in place? Give us a call, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Let's find out what's going on in the region also with Bob Spildinner. He is Director of Public Affairs. Oh, he's not with us right now. Okay. Well, then, Dr. Brown, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here. I have to tell you a quick story. My husband and I were in Walmart last night buying our supplies, and it started raining really hard. It was a quick little deluge, and a woman was in the store, and she clapped her hands over her ears, and she said, I can't deal with this. I just can't deal with this. And she really kind of lost her sense of where she was. She kind of walked around in a circle, and you could just see that the anxiety of the storm, it was just overwhelming for her. What are some of the coping mechanisms? What are people thinking right now? And what should we be thinking in terms of how we kind of maintain a calm through all this craziness?
Definitely. One of the things is recognizing what's about to occur, a hurricane, and everything that's associated with a hurricane. Mm-hmm. Rain, the downpours, lightning, thunder, high winds. When we know exactly what characterizes certain events, mm-hmm. it allows us to plan accordingly. The fact that the rain started pouring down, it probably didn't help that when the woman went into the store, like my wife and my children, that many of the aisles were barren.
Yes, absolutely, because that was true.
So when you start seeing things that are quite different from what you're normally accustomed to, mm-hmm. it creates a feeling of uneasiness. And you also have to take into consideration, Barbara, that of all the natural disasters, wildfires, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods, mm-hmm. residents in Hampton Roads have experienced about 3 of those as of late.
Yeah, that's true, because we had the earthquake earlier this week.
Exactly. So it's quite shocking for one person or one of these events to be experienced, mm-hmm. but 3. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of people that are saying, what's going on, as opposed to just taking it one incident at a time.
Okay. I think we now have Bob Spildinner, Director of Public Affairs, on hold. I know he's talking to a bunch of people. So let's talk with him right now, and then we'll come right back to you, Dr. Brown. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good afternoon.
So, I know that you have been going from interview to interview. So just give us a sense in terms of regional preparedness, where we are at this point.
Well, we've been tracking the storm very closely. We've been in communications with the local governments down in the Hampton Roads area, along with the state agencies, and talking with the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service, and really keeping a close eye on the track on this. We're looking at significant impacts, especially in the Hampton Roads area. Some areas could have storm surge at record levels, mostly South Hampton Roads is what we're looking at there. A lot of other impacts are going to be comparable to Isabel with the storm surge. So we're really interested in making sure people make their decisions about evacuations. Not everybody needs to evacuate, but those that are in areas that normally flood with these types of storms need to be ready. And then we have a lot of pre-positioning of resources going on right now. That we've got some resources we brought in at the state level, but we've also been talking with our federal partners with FEMA, and they're starting to pre-position resources as well.
So, Bob, if you decide to stay at home, I know you need the water and food, non-perishable foods and so forth. Really, how many days do you need to prepare for, and what other things aren't we thinking of that we really need to make sure we include?
We tell people to be prepared for at least 3 days. It's going to take a while for the local governments to kind of dig themselves back out after the storm passes. So it's going to be a while before any kind of resources like water and other supplies can flow down there to help people. So you need to be ready for at least 3 days. But looking at the storm and the winds that we're facing, folks down there can expect to be without power for at least a week or two. In some cases, it could be longer. So you just need to be ready for that. Make sure you have your supplies ready to go. And please use battery-powered flashlights, not using candles or oil lamps.
Yes, because that could also cause other problems in terms of fire and so forth that you don't need on top of everything. How difficult, because we don't know how difficult it will be for emergency folks to be able to get to you once the storm has passed.
Well, and that's the thing. We tell people during the storm, emergency folks are brought back in to protect them. And then once the storm passes, they're available to go out. But we're expecting numerous trees to be knocked down, that it's going to be difficult to get around. So it's not going to be business as usual after the storm goes through. It's going to be, in some cases, especially with the wind, it's going to be worse than what we had during Isabel. Storm surge is going to be about the same, in some cases a little worse, but the wind is going to be stronger than what we had during Isabel.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bob. We really appreciate you joining us, and we hope that you stay safe.
Thank you, Barbara.
Okay. That's Bob Spildiner. He's Director of Public Affairs for the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. We got a call, and I apologize, York County, because I neglected to tell folks what you need to do if you're living in York County. According to the information that we have, York County has opened a hurricane hotline. That number is 890-3674 if you have questions about the storm and you live in York County. That number again is 890-3674. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Jeremy in Virginia Beach. Hi, Jeremy. You're on the air.
Hi, ma'am. I just turned you guys on. I don't know if your callers or your people you're talking to have touched on this, but my wife and I called our insurance agency to find out what our deductible is on our home insurance and what they cover, because a lot of insurance companies don't cover the wind damage. That's a separate entity of insurance in general. And so I do recommend calling the insurance company. Take pictures of everything in your house, including the exterior, your cars, and everything if you got to leave one car behind. That's all. I'll take comments offline.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy, for the call. And, he's absolutely right. I actually called our insurance agent this week also to find out. And the flood, you can't assume if you didn't buy specific flood insurance that there is a problem. So that might be an issue. And the other thing people need to think about, Adolph, is that if power goes away, we can't pump gas. And you can't get money out of the ATM machine.
That's right.
And I hadn't thought about the pumping gas part. That was like, wow, but that's true.
Yeah, being physically prepared is paramount. However, being emotionally prepared, kind of going back to the scenario of the lady in the store, is even more so, because the children are going to take our tone.
I was going to ask you about the children, because that was my next question. Absolutely. How do we prepare our children for this? What do we tell them?
One of the things for children and adults is to keep the rumors minimal. everyone's talking about what's going on. If you go into stores, someone's going to tell you something. If you're walking down the hallway, someone's going to tell you something. Listen to factual information, the news, the radio. And as humans, we tend to think the worst about things. And preparation will just help us get around that. And the children are watching us. Find out what they know. Find out how much they know.
So we should talk to them about it. Encourage them to talk.
Exactly. Find out what they know. Sometimes we go to them telling them what we know, and it's almost like dumping. Find out what they know and how much they know, and then take that and if corrections need to be made, then that's the time. We involve our children. When I was picking up things that could possibly fly away, I said, "Hey guys, come on, help. Let's move these lawn chairs." Why are we doing this? Well, strong winds can pick things up and hurl them in our home and other people's homes, so they're dangerous. So involve them, talk to them along the way, and the tone that you have usually is the tone that they'll emulate.
So if you're freaking out, they're probably going to freak out.
Exactly. Exactly.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Another View, and we're talking about Hurricane Irene, and we're talking about what people are doing to get ready, and also with Dr. Adolph Brown, psychologist here who specializes with children psychology, talking about how we help our children make it through this storm, and also how we help ourselves. Can we talk to Alan from Chesapeake? Hi, Alan, you're on the air.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I love the subject. Two quick things. Children are very easy to take care of. Empower them. Show them how to use a flashlight, get one of their own, make them feel involved, get them used to sleeping somewhere else other than their bed, kind of like a camping experience. Put milk in the freezer to freeze it, and show them, hey, this is going to expand. It's a real learning opportunity. And then, of course, for the adults, show them how to turn down the refrigerator to its lowest setting, put water in the bathtub. I'm not endorsing Hamburger Helper. Hamburger Helper has a couple that are complete. The meat and chicken has everything in it. Does not need to be refrigerated. Good for weeks. And I hope this was of some help or benefit.
We really appreciate you calling, Alan. Thanks so much. Play with the kids. Get them involved.
Definitely. Basically what he was saying is that children are extremely resilient. We don't sometimes give them the credit for the strength that they have. Children, again, will take the tone of the adults, but ultimately children bounce back from things much worse.
Okay, so we could kind of learn a lesson from the kids, can't we?
Always.
If you find yourself really becoming so anxious that you're not being able to function, what are some of the things that you can do? Because you can't necessarily get out to a doctor during this time. So if you feel your heart palpitations or you feel yourself hyperventilating, etc., what do you do?
One of my favorite things, Barbara, is mental imagery. Again, I think one of the things that we tend to do is we tend to think the worst about various things, just as human beings. Mental imagery will help calm the nerves, the psychophysiological impact of that, the body or the mind pushing impulses to the body, calming the heart, sitting down, thinking. Sometimes people are just walking around in circles. What do I have to do next? Am I forgetting something? Sitting down and calming your nerves oftentimes helps.
Okay. Lori joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Lori.
Yes, this is Lori.
Hi, go ahead.
I agree completely with the woman that was standing there with her hands over her ears, because what happens is there's so much information coming at us through the radio, through the TV. There's 4 tickers running across the bottom. Family and relatives are calling you from all over the United States saying, get out, get out, get out. And it was almost so much information that I thought I really can't compute anymore. I can't compute anything else. So I understood how she felt. And then you get to the store and you're trying to think, what do I need to do and prepare for children. So I just think it's too much of an onslaught of information that we get.
Yeah, it's hard to balance the information you need with the onslaught of other information, Doctor.
Yeah, surround yourself with people who are as calm or calmer than yourself. They always say in conflict, the coolest head prevails. I'm fortunate to have a spouse that lived in an area that had natural disasters. So living in Virginia all of my life, I didn't deal with these types of things. So she's planned, and she's made plans that if we need to cook, we'll cook on the grill. So
she calmed you down.
Exactly, because I tend to be not a worrywart, but I think that preparation for challenges definitely will help decrease anxiety.
So being prepared. Lori, we wish you the best, and please stay safe. Okay? Joining us now is Benita Billingsley Harris. She is with Dominion Virginia Power and Dominion North Carolina Power. And hi, Benita. How you doing?
Good. Hello, Barbara and Lisa. Thank you so much for all the great work you all do with Another View.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. Now, I have a question. This is a personal thing I need to know.
Okay.
We are leaving the area during the height of the storm. So are people, when you decide to leave, should you shut off everything? Should you turn the air conditioning off, turn off the computers? How do you shut down your house from an electrical perspective?
Oh, that's a good question, Barbara. We do encourage people to turn off their major appliances during a storm, such as heat pumps, water heaters, stoves, computers, TVs, because it will prevent damage to the appliances and a possible overload to the company's system when the power is restored. But just make sure when you do that, you leave on one lamp or light so that you're able to recognize it when the power is back on.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. And I read somewhere where you should turn up your freezer and refrigerator to the highest number.
Yeah, it's a good idea if you turn it up, because that way it'll last longer if and when your electricity does go out.
Okay.
And also try not to open the door too often and that kind of thing, to keep it as cold as possible, to keep your perishables fresh as long as possible. Because with the size of this storm, this could very well be a multi-day event, and we have no idea of knowing how long it will be before we can get everybody's power back on.
Okay. Benita, how do we have crews coming in from other places to help with power restoration once the storm passes?
We do. I mean, we have all of our crews that are ready to respond. We plan for this year round, Barbara, and for the last week or so we have been especially focused on Irene. And we also have contacted our peer utilities from neighboring areas. We have a mutual aid agreement with them. So when we need their help, they come to our assistance, and we do the same for them. So they're already on standby and ready to be here. So whatever it is we're facing, we're prepared.
Okay. And the last question for you is, if your power goes out during the storm, do you want to hear from us, or do you guys already kind of have a knowledge of where things are going wrong?
We encourage people to let us know. I mean, we do have a knowledge of, and we keep track of what's going on, but to make sure that we know, we encourage you to call. We have a hotline, and I'd love to share that number with your listeners, Barbara. It's 1-866-DOM, as in Dominion, D-O-M, help, and that number is 1-866-366-4357. So since we know we're probably going to be having some outages, people might want to go ahead and plug that in their phones now. Call us up if there's an outage or they have any questions, and it helps us respond faster.
Okay. Benita Billingsley Harris with Dominion Virginia Power and Dominion North Carolina Power. Thank you so much for joining us. Benita, please, you and Cadillac, stay safe, and the family too, okay?
Thank you. I hope you and your family do as well, and call us anytime for updates.
All righty. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Let's see. Deborah joins us from Gates County, North Carolina. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I'm fine.
It's just something about this storm now. We've been through a couple of them before, but it is just something about this storm. I've already made reservations. We're going to Petersburg. We're out of here because there's something in my bones that's telling us to head for the hills.
Are you already on the road, Deborah?
Well, I'm at work right now. This is my last pickup for the day, and they're letting everybody off early today. Mm-hmm. So I just hope everybody just really take heed to this one, because we've been watching the news, lately, and one of the weather guys, it's just something about his persona, his expressions, and it's like he's pleading everybody, just take heed to this one. So we're leaving, because we're like I said, we're engaged. So Yeah, we're not going to stay.
Yeah.
We're gone.
So what did you have to do to get ready to go? Tell us some of the things you've done to get ready.
Well, we've already gassed our cars up, and it was like crazy yesterday. We're gonna finish up this evening. We're gonna like cover the windows and everything up like that, and we're gonna get water and flashlights and stuff like that, and we're just gonna go.
Okay.
We're gone.
Okay. Well, we wish you guys the best. Please stay safe. Okay. And thanks for calling. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Tell everybody take heed to this because she's not a joke. Irene is not a joke this time. She's not.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much, Deborah, for calling us from Gates County. But she, when she brings up the point about the persona of the weather people and so forth, and we all walk such a fine line. Definitely. Because we don't want to make people overly anxious, but at the same time, we really want people to understand how serious this is.
Well, it makes me think that in my travels, Barbara, when a pilot comes on, the plane could be dropping 20 feet, or we're about to hit turbulence or anything, but the pilot comes across and he says, we're about to experience a little turbulence. Fasten your seatbelts.
That's very true.
And you're wondering, how is he so calm? But he understands the tone. One of the things, too, Barbara, that I haven't heard mentioned today, everybody's talking about what they need to pack, what they need to buy. Let's not forget about medication and medication-dependent folk. If someone's on insulin, if someone has hypertension, it's imperative that you have enough medication that you you don't need a refill to go back to the stores. And another thing is when we talk about children or adults and how they react in this situation, please understand that the people that are most at risk emotionally in traumatic situations are the people who are already predisposed for some emotional condition. So that's something that we don't think about too often. If there's a child that has some emotional issues, then expect them to be exacerbated somewhat during a situation like this.
So so those children, especially if they have certain medications they have to take or whatever, now is not the time to disrupt that regime.
Exactly.
Okay, to make sure that they're there. All right, we got a lot of calls on the line. Lee joins us from Chesapeake. Hi, Lee.
Hi there.
Hi, you're on the air.
Yes, ma'am. I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina, and I was there during Hurricane Hugo. And we went to bed the night before Hugo. We slept in the stairwell to be safe, and it's a good thing. My eldest daughter was only about 4, and the next morning we got up, all of the trees around us were down, and the one thing that upset her so much was seeing those trees, and she kept asking us to put the trees back up. So if you can prepare children for changes to your environment, because that's the first thing they're going to see is when they go outside, if something they knew as being a favorite thing, it's not going to be the same, especially if the winds are very, very high. So I'm saying you need to get them ready for that. And then we were lucky. We were without power for 2 weeks. And you need to kind of think along camping. If you're going to camp, because it's going to be hot with no power, no AC, you're going to have to learn how to sleep cool, prevent bugs. Well, you're going to have the drinking water. You got to figure out who's got a gas heater near you, a water heater, to where you can go to their house and take a hot shower.
Well, you bring up some very interesting points. And one of the things, too, without power with children, plan for fun. I mean, children today we live in a digital decade in this connected culture. Board games.
Yeah, that's true.
Books. So make sure that you have those things in place. Like I said, we're all so connected that the power outage just makes people think that life is over.
That's a very good point. Lee, are you guys all settled in and ready to weather this one?
Yes, ma'am. We're all ready. We're doing everything we can. We fill the washing machine. We're going to fill the bathtubs. We've got Clorox for water treatment. We've got food that doesn't need refrigeration. We've cleaned all our clothes, done all our laundry. We've got all the cars filled. We've got the boat in the garage. Chainsaws ready to go. We've got tarps if we need to cover them. If a tree comes through the roof, we've got the numbers for the insurance. We could just go on and on and on.
Wow.
I'm coming over.
I'm telling you, it sounds like your house is the place to be, Lee. Thanks so much for joining us, and please stay safe. Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. Anna joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Anna.
Hi there. My must-haves for hurricanes, and I started doing this during Bonnie and Isabel. Get some window planter, the plastic planters that you grow flowers in the window. Fill them up with water, let them freeze. You got your own homemade ice blocks, just like the old days when we all had wooden ice boxes, but now we have better insulated refrigerators. Put those in your fridge, keeps the food. A block lasts longer than little individual cubes.
Oh,
if you don't have a regular pool, get a kiddie pool. You can lay in there to cool off. And I forgot my third thing now. I don't know. Forgot what the third thing was. Oh, water. Plenty of drinking water.
That's right.
Plenty of drinking water.
And I do have a wood stove, so I can boil up big pots of water to wash with. The other thing is with the what was the other thing with the wood stove? I don't know one right out of my head. I'm trying to think of them all. But the wood stove is very, very helpful if you have one. Oh, if you have a gas stove, don't think you can't cook. Turn the burner on, and you immediately hold the match up to the burner. Only for the top burners, and they will light. Don't try to light your oven that way. That could be very dangerous.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Good luck to you, and please stay safe for us, okay?
Okay, you too.
All right, let's try to get to one more call. Lahora from Yorktown is joining us. Hi.
Yes, hi.
How
This is Leora. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. My statement was to remember to get all your legal documents together. It's so important whether you stay or you leave to have those legal documents such as birth certificates, a marriage license, Social Security numbers, any type of documents. If you own a home, your car, like you said, the insurance, medical records, have them in a safe and secure place.
Okay. Thank you so much for calling us and giving us that information. Are you all settled and ready to weather the storm?
We're getting ready.
You're getting ready
Yes.
now. Absolutely. Well, we wish your family and you the very best, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Thanks so much for calling. Patrick Rocky is joining us now. He is the meteorologist from News Channel 3. And News Channel 3, we will be actually airing Patrick and the rest of his colleagues wall-to-wall when they go to wall-to-wall coverage tomorrow of the storm. You will be able to hear the coverage here on 89.5 WHRV. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, how are you? What a great service that is to your listeners.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate you all allowing us to stream your signal, but it is really, really important, we believe, that in the middle of the storm, especially when the electricity and so forth goes out, if you have a battery-powered radio, you can still get the best of both worlds. So there you go.
Absolutely. I remember it well from Isabel. I was without power at my house for 9 days, 4 hours, 17 minutes. I remember it exactly. And it was really a lifeline to be able to turn on the radio and hear what's going on. Even though I was, half the day I was working, I knew what was going on. It was just having that lifeline to hear it is so valuable.
Absolutely. And Patrick, you're from Newport News. So as a meteorologist, forecasting the weather for your hometown, what is that like in terms of this storm and how you're able to communicate to our listeners and viewers what's going on?
Well, my last job before moving back home was in upstate South Carolina, well away from the coast, but because I was the weather guy there, they would always send me to the Carolina coast to cover hurricanes, and it's so completely different covering them there. You do it, it's tiring, but you can go home. Mm-hmm. But here, when you're covering it in your hometown, you live here, your parents live here, your family is here, your loved ones are here, and so it's completely different. You have a lot at risk, so you are just like everybody else. You're at home making the preparations and then coming to work and telling folks, what to expect, covering the storm, hoping that you're home and everyone else is just fine, when you get home.
Absolutely. So what's going on now? What's the latest?
The storm is down to a Category 2. That's a little glimmer of good news here. It has maximum sustained winds at 105 miles per hour, and it's moving north now at around 14. So it is still on a collision course for eastern North Carolina, and then if it stays on its forecast track, would rake right up through the Outer Banks and end up, the center of circulation could end up right off of the Chesapeake Bay, which would be a really bad thing. As we know, with these storms, they push water into the bay and then into the James River and the Elizabeth River and the Nansemond River and then into all the creeks and then up your street. And, yes. Things that flood will flood. Things that maybe you didn't know would flood can flood in this situation as well.
Okay, well, we're bracing for it and getting ready. And folks that watch News Channel 3, and those of you who have not had the experience, you will be able to hear Patrick and all of the rest of the News Channel 3 team here on WHRV 89.5 FM. And we'll probably start our coverage early tomorrow morning when you all go wall to wall with your coverage.
And once again, we so appreciate that service. Very valuable.
Okay, thank you, Patrick, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Take care now. All right, one more call, Dr. Brown, before the hour is out. Lamont joins us from Chesapeake. Hi, Lamont. You're on the air.
Hi, I have a safety comment about people that use generators that are tied into a house's electrical system. It's very important that you turn the main breaker off because it can make the power lines that the people work on live, and it could actually hurt or kill someone. So it's very important if you're tying in a generator with a house's electrical system that you lock out the main breaker while that generator is in use.
Wow. Okay. We need to. And also, generators, Lamont, should not be inside your home, correct?
Yes,
or the garage?
Anywhere where, basically it needs to be outside. I mean, anywhere other than that could be dangerous.
Okay. Thanks so much for that call. One last question for you. We got about 5 minutes left before we have to say goodbye. But people's faith.
Faith is a huge component. One of the things that we have to remember is to be honest with particularly our children, that people do get hurt in natural disasters. Sometimes people do get killed. But as parents and guardians, we should tell our children that we're preparing the best we can, and our faith should carry us through.
Mm-hmm. So that is important to also send along that message when you're talking with your kids.
Definitely. And what happens sometimes in natural disasters, we think that during the storm is the most critical. But as a gentleman said earlier about his daughter coming out and finding her favorite tree uprooted, we also have to be prepared for the loss and the bereavement that occurs following the storm. Mm-hmm. So this is far from over emotionally. Everyone's preparing physically, but there's a huge emotional component to this.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the bereavement, because we really should allow ourselves to kind of let us go through those emotions after it's over.
Definitely. We just had an earthquake, and people are walking around. You ask your colleagues, sometimes they have, they're saying, I'm tired for no apparent reason, and I'm feeling lethargic today. All of these things take its toll over time, whether you address it or not.
It's gonna take its toll one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So what I heard today is that the better people are prepared, the better they're feeling. Mm-hmm. And that's the way you deal with anxiety, preparation, knowing the facts. Someone said they were being bombarded in all different directions. Kind of try to weed out what's important and what's not, and do what you know to be best.
Mm-hmm. So one last piece of advice that you would give to folks as they prepare for tonight and tomorrow?
Well, I would tell them to listen to everything that's coming, the factual information. If someone tells you to evacuate, then this is not the time to put on your cape and prove anything to anyone. And from a personal perspective, Barbara, I'm a firm believer that throwing our shoe under our beds helps quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And by throwing our shoe under our beds, oftentimes it forces us to start our day on our knees.
Absolutely. There you go. How about that? I want to go back to one last point because I'm thinking about this whole digital age, and you're absolutely right. A lot of people will be looking for the opportunity to play the digital games and so forth. It really is a good time to get our kids to pick up a book, isn't it?
It's a wonderful time, and it's a time to reconnect as well. Mm-hmm. As family, we get so busy, and it's a shame that it would take situations like this to allow us to spend time together. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that's what happens. And
so what's your family doing?
We're going to hunker down, and we couldn't find a bread that we all like. We found some wheat bread and some other things, and couldn't find some of the things that I like, but that's okay. I know enough people that I should be able to find a sandwich.
Oh, my goodness. We had originally thought that we were going to be talking with about the Martin Luther King dedication this weekend. And we actually had some folks from Hampton Roads who were a part of the March in 63 and all of that. And we will redo that show. I do have some information to share with our listeners. The foundation had to change all of those dedication plans for this weekend. And so today's events are continuing as planned. On Saturday, the National Prayer Service at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception will continue tomorrow. That will be the final event for the dedication week. And they will reschedule the dedication for sometime in September or October. And so as soon as we get those details, we'll be sure to pass those on to you. There are any of the other events that were going on in the area that you were looking forward to this weekend? Guaranteed they are not going to happen. So make sure right now the most important thing is for you to settle down, hunker in, and be able to prepare yourself and your families. People are urging that you have at least 3-day supply of water ready for each person that is in your home or in the shelter that you go to. And also bring food that doesn't require refrigeration. You need flashlights, a battery-operated radio, a first aid kit. Make sure that you have a signal or a way or a person outside of this area, if you can, to be the conduit to let everybody know everybody's okay. You know, in this mobile age that we have, pick Aunt Sally out in wherever who's away from where we are, and let her be the one that everybody calls. So if you are separated from your family or you get separated for somewhere, at least everybody then knows that that people are okay. So that's very, very important for us to do. Don't forget to fill up your gas tank, because if the power goes out, you will not be able to pump gas, which I really did not know, Dr. Brown. That still kind of freaks me out.
ATMs won't work either.
And ATMs are not working, so it's really important to try to have some cash on hand. I also spoke earlier today to the folks over at Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing. Full disclosure, I am the vice chair of the commission there, but I wanted to make sure what the plans were for our public housing residents, and the NRHA has been very proactive in getting the information out to public housing folks and making sure that they know that they must evacuate if they're in those low-lying areas. So everybody, we really want you to stay safe. Oh, I have a very special thank you and thank you and thank you to Adam Rose. Adam is our audio engineer, and today is his not engineer, but he's one of our interns, and today is his last day, and he's the one who screens our phone calls, and we really appreciate everything that he's done. Adam, thanks so much. I want to also say a special thank you to Katie Berry and Stephen Gale. Now, they were interns with us, Dr. Brown, last semester, and they came in to help us with our storm coverage today, so we really appreciate that. Editor Kenny Hopkins, who went out with Lisa early this morning and got the sound for us, and our audio engineer Perry Smith, who we love to death and who always takes great care of us in terms of our audio. Lisa Godley, our producer extraordinaire and reporter, thank you so much. And I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. This is Another View. I want everyone to please stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye now.